And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Sometimes you know a game is going to be bad just by looking at it, and that's the way I felt when I saw Trexo. You see this box, it looks like the box on a shelf, where there's a small picture of the game. The whole thing has an unappealing thing, and then on it they're like, oh, it's great, a challenge in 3 dimensions, and there's a award that they got from somewhere on it, and it's X's and O's, and so very original. Now, I have learned not to judge games by their cover. Well, I hope that's the case here. The game is very simple. You are simply trying to get 5 circles or X's, depending which one you are. The X's or the aughts in a row. So on your turn, you're going to take one of these domino pieces and place it anywhere on the board. Now, as you do so, you are trying to get 5 of yours in a row. Of course, the other person, when they play them, are going to try to block you. Aha! Well, we know how to win this one. If you want to get 5 in a row, you simply have to place 3 in a row, right? And then the other person can't block you. But in this game, you are allowed to place on top of other pieces, as long as you're not like hanging off, and you can't be completely on top of one other piece. So the aughts have 3 in a row here. How is the X's going to stop them? Well, he can stop them by doing something like this. And now he has 3 in a row. And so how are the circles going to stop him? Well, they might do something like this. Of course, then he might play something down here. That gives him 4 X's in a row, and that forces them to play something like this to stop him. And then he can play something like this to win the game, putting 5 in a row. You really can go up as many levels as you want, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to get 3 in a row or 4 in a row where your opponent can't really stop you. Because once they get 3 or 4 in a row, and they're all on different levels where you can't cancel any of them out, that's where you'll run into trouble. The pieces are of decent quality, and really that's the whole game. Hey folks, I'm pleasantly surprised to tell you that Trexo is actually quite good. Now, I am certainly disposed to liking games about getting 5 in a row. Pentago is one of my favorite games where you're trying to get 5 marbles in a row, and this is one that I think fits in that same category. Now, abstract strategy games. I love abstract strategy games when they have a very simple premise and yet offer some tactics and strategy in them. That's what this one does. Like I said, these pieces here are really good quality. They have this, they're bakelite plastic. And so there's that. The board itself is a little boring, and I think the whole presentation here, I would have put a little bit more effort into it, I think, myself. I don't know what else they could have done, but I mean, it just kind of looks like this game came from the 70s. But the game plays really well. You're trying to get 5 in a row, and so it's that same XO thing that kids play, but here you add that third dimension, and that third dimension can be manipulated because you're trying to set, like I said, 3 or 4 in a row where they have both sides and then in different levels. And so you got to kind of outthink the other person. I'm sure that like any game trying to get something in a row, that this one can be solved. There's probably some ultimate strategy. I don't know it. But I would rather play this than say, let's say, Connect 4. Connect 4 is basically just putting 4 things in a row with the difference if they have to drop in from the top. Here you're trying to get 5 in a row, the difference being you're going to be building 3-dimensionally. Not only is that something fun to do, to put the pieces there, and it does grow and look interesting, and I'll tell you, as it gets to level 3, 4, and even level 5 on this, those diagonals, you kind of have to sometimes look over the board like this to make sure you're not missing a diagonal run of the X's or O's, because it's 5 in a row diagonally or orthogonally. Simple game, can be played with kids, can be played between adults, easy to teach. Yes, the box, unfortunately, doesn't make the game sound fun, but it is. Dice Tower Judgment approved!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door! there.